But there's a rumor out there that there's going to be a major, large dealer group acquisition coming up.
Whoa.
Okay.
Major large.
And he's heard that there's a rumor. He didn't actually hear a rumor. He's heard that there's a rumor.
I just heard of a rumor and then another rumor.
There's nothing more meta.
Searches car now large clients.
Listen, Matt.
All right, welcome to another episode, our third consecutive episode of the Wheelhouse. Joining us, our distinguished colleagues. They're going to make up this panel let's not make it, overly obvious that we're not that distinguished, but at least the panel that we have here does know what they're.
Kyle's just trying to work up the clip art library already.
Not everybody can do that. So welcome Paul J Daly, founder and CEO of ASOTU, Kyle Mountsier, COO of ASOTU, Bob Lanham, currently the SVP of, I say currently because as we talked about before, in my mind, one of the people that has the most to do with digital retailing in modern day, but the SVP of retail development at Car Now, and Matthew Haiken, retailer principal, Prestige Auto Group, that's just outside of New York City with how many? 6 stores? Five stores. Four? Okay, I was somewhere between 4 and 6. Got it. All right, let's go ahead and start off hot and go around the clock. Kyle, we'll start with you. And what is on your mind? 30 seconds. Automotive currently. Go.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of conversation about affordability popping up again. It seemed like it went dormant for a couple of months. And we're starting to breach that topic again. A lot more reports coming out about high payments, higher prices going up on used and new cars. So I'm really interested to see what lenders do as we enter, midway through Q3 and into Q4 with interest rates, length of term, and how consumers respond, and whether or not we continue to have such a there you go. Oh, we got a horn on me this week.
Wow, had an echo and everything.
Continue.
Dive. Yeah.
Perfect. Paul, you're up next. 30 seconds. Same buzzer for you also, by the way.
Oh, fine. I can't wait. I'm just going to pivot right off of Kyle's affordability as well. We were just talking about a story that used car leasing is actually maybe becoming a reality. I know some manufacturers did that in the past. But fixing the affordability problem, financiers are getting creative about what they can do. Certified pre-owned leases, being able to get people in cars that are good condition, that are going to have some longevity for under $400 a month. Affordability is going to continue to be the name of the game.
That'll be interesting to see if it's done responsibly. But also, I want to see documented cases of how many and where, because I don't doubt it. But also in automotive, we tend to sometimes be the National Enquirer talk about Bigfoot, where it's sightings have been made, and it's I believe sightings have been made, but is it yet relevant to me where I'm at?
I also think we need to get the calculator out, because for used car leasing, you need very low values, low interest rates. Let's look at the math on that.
Okay, well, Matt, I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have the budget for a calculator in the show, so bring your own.
I'll get my.
There was one in that office, but they took it with them.
but Matthew, since you're going ahead, it's 30 seconds on the clock.
All right, I'm all about last week. VinFast went public. Obviously, the valuation was bananas. It's been coming down, but if I'm Ford and General Motors and there's another EV startup that has a valuation higher than me, I just don't know what's going on. I'd love to get someone from Wall Street to sit with us, because we're in the real world, and it just seems like another case of fantasy land of a new startup brand that hasn't sold any cars in the U.S. yet. But more to come, because I guess they're calling on dealers now.
Okay. There's. Mm-hmm. All right, so content stealers is what we're gonna call this. People that move stories to the front.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else that happened this week. That's huge.
That's it.
It's huge.
I'm not your cliff notes for your opening statement, in that,
Way before.
During that segment, I was watching Daniel's face. I was like, "How long?"
It went from smile to frown.
How long before he
transition?
He pulls out his Tesla, not a flamethrower.
We're going to talk about
points in that New Jersey.
We're going to talk about all the dealers.
Independent thought. I mean, that's all critical thinking.
All the dealers that have their hands raised. I'm talking about where does this value come from? how do these startups just like I just don't understand it. I don't
I'm
understand.
trying to figure it out. I'm trying to copy it, frankly.
Bob Lanham, 30 seconds.
Yeah, listen, I got to piggyback off of Matt, because when I saw that headline in Automotive News that VinFast had a higher valuation than Ford, and then when I looked into it, higher than VW, I was like, what is going on? But I'll also say this, because you guys know I love to have conversations with people that I don't like to name, but there's a rumor out there that there's going to be a major, large dealer group acquisition coming up.
Whoa.
What, major, large?
Major, large.
And he's heard that there's a rumor. He didn't actually hear a rumor. He's heard that there's a rumor.
I just
It's
heard
like
of a
another step
rumor
removed.
and then another rumor.
There's nothing more meta.
Searches car
Listen,
now large clients.
Listen, Matt, VinFast was mine. I didn't want to steal Matt's thunder, so I just had to throw in.
Tim's
what
about
I
to
did.
pull you off this show.
Yeah, until it hits the headlines, and he's like, I got to bring that guy back. The guy's ahead of the time.
He's like,
No,
he's
because then
plugged
it
in.
won't be interesting. Then we'll have the reporting from Haiken Partners and everybody else about it. So, like, if you want to, breaking news means you break the news. It means you don't just break the rumor of it. That's, I mean,
Okay.
okay, we're not
We
a
will
breaking news
see.
show. We've never said we're going to be, but I mean, I get so.
We
All right,
will
but
see.
But I
is it
heard.
how certain are you of the information that you have, or how uncertain are you? Like let's do like billions. How uncertain are you?
Possibly billions.
Okay, I'm gonna say letters of the alphabet. Okay, I'm just gonna A, B, C.
He started shaking before
D,
you
Del Grande.
started.
Okay, E.
All right, moving to something that you guys had already started with. How interesting. VinFast, which is a Vietnamese EV manufacturing company that's been in business, in case we didn't know, that apparently already has shipped over 3,000 cars to the United States, which I had no idea about that. And I'm quoting off of Reuters, right? I don't think most of us knew that there were 3,000 cars that are already shipped here, and they've been really pursuing what they thought was going to be a direct sales model. Then they said, yeah, maybe we'll talk to some dealers. And I think for the most part, dealers said, who? But tell me why when so much of our conscious lives is dependent on thinking, is an agency model happening or franchises going away? Here you have a company that started out with an agency, started out with the direct sales model, saying, hey, dealers, maybe you'd be interested in this. Let's unpack that.
Well, I can tell you this. I ran into about 10 VinFast employees back at the NADA convention at the JD Power Auto Summit. And it was very interesting the way that they were perceiving and taking in and communicating and having conversations with everybody at that event. And I had a couple quick conversations. Hey, how are things going? This was right after they had shipped the original 999 vehicles into the US. And it was like, hey, it's steady going. We're still trying to look at the sales model and the distribution model. So it looks like they've been on this trajectory for quite some time. And this like understanding that getting into a country as large as the US and finding a distribution network for a direct sales model is not an easy task. It takes a ton of capitalization, which they've already done. But to kind of come in and say we don't need dealers and then come back on your word is a really interesting thing. I just don't see why dealers would pick up on something that doesn't have a revenue or a historic sales model when they already have a historic sales model right in their hands.
We have to add a couple of things. First of all, they picked Joey Lawrence to be their new pitch man. I don't know if you guys saw that recently.
Whoa, did they really?
Awesome. Yes.
Whoa.
Brand new spot. I mean, if anything, sign me up right now. They got Joey Lawrence on board. I'm on board. For them going with a dealer model, it makes all the sense of the world. These cars are sitting at port. They want them off their balance sheets. We pay retail for the cars. We pay for them before they even show up, and then we sell them for less than we paid them for, and they give us some sort of rebate. I mean, for any startup that wants cash or capital or wants this inventory off their balance sheet, I think it's genius. And believe me, I'm sure dealers will get in line and sign up for something new, looking for the next, great hope.
I think there's got to be warranty. No one's talking about warranty. None of you is going to say the word warranty. I'll say it. Warranty. Like, I mean, why are you not? Like, what's your parts distribution about? I mean, there's a reason that I don't think everyone's going to be jumping on it. I think ultimately the opportunity to get in on a new brand is interesting. How many of us have thought about, could I have gotten a Toyota Point back when they weren't anybody? But you're talking about a company that's coming over here that wants to deal with an American dealer network. Can you understand what Congress has to do with everything? Can you understand that what you do, how you take care of your cars, your parts distribution, your warranty? By the way, that's the stuff that you get in really big trouble for. And that's never been anything that I don't see any of the reporting about that. So like that's definitely something that
and gets customers really upset when it doesn't go through,
or they can't get parts, or they can't fix their cars.
I watched the spot with Joey Lawrence, and they brought up
he's back to Joey Lawrence. He's like, "What Joey
Lawrence? Mile battery warranty is what they stressed in the spot. If I saw,
did they really million miles?
A million miles.
So we make what state the first dealership opens?
The first dealer-owned non-VinFast.
The first VinFast dealer-owned dealership. What state?
Houston, Texas.
Okay, I'm going New Jersey.
Resolute about that.
You're going California.
Yeah, California.
Here it is. Okay, Kyle, Matt, you have to weigh in. We have New Jersey, California, Houston. You guys have to pick one.
I mean, I'm going California.
I would go California too.
I picked the whole state though.
Yeah, right.
Matthew just doesn't want anyone near him. Like as long as it's not New York, New Jersey.
He's like, I think Dakotas, Alaska.
Yeah.
You guys can
Arizona,
Cleveland, Ohio.
I mean, who's going there by choice? I mean, you see anyone going there on vacation? Joakim Noah, great interview.
My first NADA that I ever went to, I went with a large dealer group, and this was probably 5 years ago. And the owner of the dealer group was It was the first year. I can't remember which company. It was a Chinese vehicle maker. And
Cherry.
Vision
Motors. Cherry.
Okay, maybe that was it. And they went with a whole business plan saying, like, I want to be the first dealer that carries this product that was untested, but they were excited about being the first. So based on that experience, I think that there's definitely going to be a line.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Monterey Car Week concluded yesterday. If you don't know what that is, that's either you just don't like cars that much or something else. But
I'm going to be transparent. I don't know what that is.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm assuming that's where Brian Benstock was posting all the pictures of the cars.
I don't know. I mean, in all reality, I don't think I would have been able to get through the bubble to get next to him. So I don't know if he was there or not. I'm assuming if he was, he was. But they concluded yesterday. And I think this event is a standout you're talking about the city of Monterey, like population 30,000 people, and it gets about 3 times that come into Car Week. And of course, it does conclude with the Pebble Beach Concourse, which is an awesome event, like the Kentucky Derby for vehicles. And every manufacturer puts out on the concept lawn, real looking models of what it is they intend to do in the future of their company. So you see a lot of cool stuff there. And it's absolutely a great gathering of some of the best decision makers in the company. My question is though, is that it? Is that the last of the dying breed? Because if you ask me about auto shows, I'm probably not going to be talking as quite as glowingly about it. And we've already seen many manufacturers that don't participate in many auto shows. Auto shows arguably also don't start a selling season anymore. New models aren't introduced at auto shows. You might see something at SEMA, but not at the Las Vegas Auto Show, for example. So where are we headed anywhere? Are in-person car events, is this a bygone era? Are we just hanging on for nostalgic reasons, or does it still have a place moving forward?
Listen, being someone that lives in the state that once had the largest international auto show, that now I don't even know if it's still running, to be brutally honest with you. I'm first to say that we're definitely seeing a decline in auto shows.
Yeah, well, you live in Michigan, correct?
Yeah, he lives in Michigan, so
that's correct.
But you look at like just I see more people headed the SEMA direction, or the direction of like you see a lot of manufacturers kind of coming with this Apple Keynote style release schedule, where they're using virtual audiences and in-person audiences to do branded experiences around vehicle releases. And I think that's where you'll see a lot of that move. You'll either see them move to SEMA because it's becoming a tech first industry and not a hardware first industry, or if they're leaning on hardware and tech, they'll start to be more in that. You just won't see these massive auto shows unless they're experiential, which obviously Pebble Beach and Monterey are wildly experiential in a totally different environment than, you know, a massive conference center.
I'd say never count anything out. I mean, everything's cyclical. People will get so enthralled with these digital Apple keynotes that they'll want to be in person, and you know, everything's cyclical. Right now, that's the fad. But I have learned to, you know, don't count anything out and be ready to turn on.
It's pretty much worked for them though since, you know, like the first iPhone. So not as fatty as it might seem.
That's a great word. Look, I think that this from the event that I don't know about, but what I do know about it, it seems to be very high-end, expensive cars. So when we're talking about car shows where people are looking at things as are actually accessible, or a very kind of high society level event like Pebble Beach, like, I don't know, I think there's a real opportunity in retail auto right now to create an event that actually connects with culture, like broad scale
you have
culture.
to think about though. Then do you still need to test drive the car if these events can be virtual? How much of the car do you need to experience then? So that's
virtual events are terrible. I'm just gonna say it. Virtual events are just terrible. I don't care unless it's a video game event where you're in the metaverse and that's where you experience the product. Virtual events are terrible.
So
Monterey is the Super Bowl.
It will not be live streamed. Absolutely not.
Monterey is the automotive equivalent of the Super Bowl. That cannot be virtual, and it's a new draw every year. Who's going to be in the finals? Who are you going to go see? Every year it's new cars.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it here first. The revolution will not be televised. Just get your ass there if you want to be a part of it. Otherwise,
that's right.
Otherwise, it will be George Washington in monochrome clothing on a stage with a spotlight and one microphone, and that will be it as far as the revolution will go.
That's it.
Moving on. Is electricity still cheaper than gas? This is something that has been sort of one of the reasons we think maybe we drive people towards EVs. 2 studies are taking aim at that, no longer an assumption, actually taking a look at it. And the Washington Post kind of unpacked both of them to show us sort of some reasoning behind both independent surveys, or seemingly independent surveys. And they're not taking it for granted that gas is going to be or is cheaper than electric. And for a number of reasons, like excise taxes that EVs have in certain states, as well as taxes and an ability for electricity, isn't going to necessarily maintain itself as a steady source of steady price. So now that you've taken that away, are we still assuming that gas is still cheaper? Are we still assuming that you're going to, because that's been part of the sales pitch, you're going to be saving over X number of years? Now that that's gone, or in challenge, what do we think?
I mean, is this trying to just get us to sleep better at night? I mean, these cars are coming. They're going to be on the road. They're out there. There is no turning back right now. What's the point? What's the point? If electricity is more than gas, we're not turning around with electric cars. So, I applaud the study, but I think it's useless. These cars are coming. It's a tidal wave.
It's more expensive though, like that's going to play a part in it. I mean, yeah, we're not getting back to the discussion of if they're coming or not. We're getting into discussion about like how responsibly are we bringing them to market, and if they're not, and if it's
right. But has the question really been about affordability, or has it been much more about climate change and that?
It's been that they need to be affordable in order for them to be moving at a faster rate of adoption.
I don't see that being affordable.
And they use the gas conversation, but the gas conversation is often used to offset the higher cost of the EV. Well, you're going to be saving money on gas, so it kind of balances out, is how I've been hearing it leveraged from an affordability standpoint.
It's a new technology. It's going to take years for it to be more affordable. I mean, if you look at what's in the tax codes to qualify for these, as far as income and price of the cars, those cars don't even exist yet. They don't even exist yet on the pre-owned market. So it's, we're still in the early stages. Affordability is down the line.
I just need him to go over 200 miles and be able to charge quickly and easily, not have to plan my road trip for 3 hours because I can't get a charge nearby. That's all.
Hopefully you're not in Texas in the summer when they ask everyone to not plug anything in for 3 hours in the afternoon.
Yeah. I'm actually visiting in San Francisco right now, and I was told this by a salesperson at a not Tesla dealership. So just with a grain of salt, there's actually no Tesla chargers in the city proper of San Francisco.
They don't like Elon Musk anymore.
Is that
so ironic? No, San Francisco. What's that? San Francisco.
I said Elon moved to Texas.
Yeah.
They shut him down.
Okay. And just need to catch up on some points here. In general, Matt, you're sitting at 4. Bob, at 5, Paul 17, and Kyle 9.
Wow.
And I'm giving you absolutely no insight into how those numbers came about. Okay.
I'm happy. I think it's for enthusiasm today. I feel like I just have some enthusiasm that might be edging everybody out. So
It's your kind eyes, is what it is, really.
That's the kind eyes bonus today.
Definitely has kind eyes, without a doubt.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, it looks like I'm gonna win.
This next subject, by the way, is killing me right now.
I know this is pretty much in Bob's, wait for it, wheelhouse. And anytime I see an article, especially something like this in Market Watch, here's how it starts out. Where the future of online car buying may be headed, with the sub headline being, will you ever be able to get around the dealer with most car companies? And here's how to buy a car online, and here's how far you can get online. And they kind of do a decent job breaking it down and putting the purvey of things like vehicle configurators with the manufacturer, payment calculators essentially with the manufacturer. So it's kind of interesting how they're looking at it. Where are we headed? We know that it's never going to be what we thought it was when it started. Bob, I'd like to start off because this is pretty much something that I was thinking about how you're going to, because I'm also wanting to see how you set off, Kyle and Paul while you do this at the same time. And there will be bonus points for that.
For setting us off.
Listen, I'll just say this because I'm in a lot of different types of conversations across the industry with a lot of different brands. There are a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of different opinions on how this should work and how it should flow and who should own what. It's interesting, man. It's interesting to just hear the different points of view, even from manufacturers that have, brother, sister cars or whatever you want to call them, two brands within one manufacturer or more. So where is it going to pan out? I'm not sure we know yet. I really don't.
Where's it most likely headed, though? Wait, you can't. What kind of ambiguous?
That wasn't really an answer. It's like I hear a lot of things. I see a lot of people. They all want it done a different way.
I'm in the middle here.
Who knows?
So
here's what I think.
I'll elaborate, or you say, but I'll elaborate on what he's saying. Because like if you look at different markets, like if you look,
you can't even see where your hand is now. That's different. Okay.
If you look at Europe, right, it's they could tackle this so much simpler because the manufacturer in most cases dictates a certain DMS that they've created that the dealers have to use, and there's a lot less systems. I mean, we're using so many different systems, different CRMs, different DMS, different states. Until all of that could come together somehow, it makes a real online experience virtually impossible. We could talk about digital deals and all this BS that people eat up, like we're digital online first, but we really need all these systems to kind of communicate. It's very tough with all these different systems.
Did you plan that quote? An online experience is virtually impossible.
No, but I love it.
That's amazing.
Put that up there.
I'll tell you though, Matt just nailed it. Like he just won all the points in that one answer, because that's the exact conversations that we have, which is we want to do this, but we can't because there's too many players in the mix. So we have to kind of do this, and it's a little bit of a little duct
also,
tape
who's we?
here.
When we say we want to do this, like who's the we? I don't think we.
I mean, we all want
the royal we, really.
Oh well, she's not interested in it, so I don't play that. So
I've had so many European executives come over and sit with us and just say, we don't understand why you can't get this done in the US. And then we show them, my multiple screens with 10 different browsers that you have to go through just to do one car deal. And they don't understand it.
Have you heard of Marie Kondo? I just feel like she could be useful in your office.
Yeah. A little simplification action.
Look that up. If it's not bringing you
joy, does it bring me joy? Does it bring me joy?
Hold it.
Yeah.
Close.
Think about it. Consider it.
Are you part of a European exchange program for executives? Because I haven't seen as many, and I work for a European company, and I haven't seen that many.
You work for a German company. It's not so
part of still.
Yes,
like Germany's not Europe.
Are we playing Risk all of a sudden?
The bigger issue is not, for me, the connected tissue. Like the APIs are being built currently and are getting quicker. There are some that are not building them as quickly as needed, but you can build a tech stack to be able to accomplish 99.5% of stuff outside of if you have a DMS or a local tag office that doesn't have anything virtually. But the bigger problem for me is actually that, and don't hate me, Bob, right now, but there's literally no one in the auto industry that has created a UX UI, including the manufacturers outside of Tesla, maybe, that have created a UX UI that is simple, easy to understand, and can be utilized across income and credit brackets. And
so I think it's pronounced Uksui, by the way, just to sound professional.
See, you're one of them guys. I see. And I think that's the bigger problem is like creating the flow to use across income brackets, across credit brackets, across trade flow scenarios has yet to be done in our industry. And so
why even like though?
Because one, the data structures of these APIs, not even like the actual systems themselves, but the data structures don't point to a quality UX UI. But then after that, nobody's asked the super, super hard questions of like detailed process mapping that it takes to create a car deal that's inside a sales manager's or a general manager's brain. Like
it is we have right now, right? Like you can build the deal online and you can push it to CDK. I mean, so is it a capability problem or is it who
yeah, you can do that.
The issue.
No, I like what you're saying about detailing the brain, because I said this last week. Like the problem is, some people take the app up front. Some people make the app the very last step. Some people take the trade up front. Some people put it less. Like when you put it in a line, you're alienating, half your population of people that want to do a deal a certain way. People,
I'll give you the most simple reason why we haven't been able to accomplish this. Right now, currently, there's not a digital retailing platform in auto that can tell a user that they just entered a trade that's owned by somebody else or has an and on the title. And now if you complete that deal through paperwork, you actually created a non-fundable deal. And so until we can accomplish something as simple as that every single salesperson on the country knows the question to ask, which is give me your registration. Until we can do that, we can't complete fundable deals 100% of the time, which creates an issue for the future of car buying as a digital retail process.
So it's really fundamentally that we don't have a singular way of titling and registering cars. And so that's essentially, I mean, in our own way, because we're so diverse as a car community, dealership community. And the government doesn't, and that's one area that there's not a federally recognized standard for, right? Yep. So essentially, are we inviting are we saying that there is some need for federal oversight or federal guidance in order to create a cohesive, fully digital retailing process for people?
I would say,
and would that allow you to get away from it?
Privatize those agencies and let innovation happen. I just came back from California. I saw these digital.
Why hasn't it happened yet then? If it
I have no idea. I just saw these digital license plates. I feel like a caveman. I've been living on a rock. They're amazing. We need someone from California to say like what the details are on. But I saw these digital plates. I was like, this is incredible. I don't know if it relates to titles, but thought it was pretty
probably
cool.
Does, because all that information is now digitally stored and probably available through quality APIs, which is through how those things populate the information on the back of that screen.
Good luck selling that in Texas. Let's do what California did.
Yeah, exactly.
That really is part of the problem, right? I mean, part of the challenge. I don't know if it's a problem or not, right? Everyone has their own perspective, and like making sure a car buying process is seamless isn't always at the top, And so, like, I think there's a lot of state independence that's just a part of American culture that makes things like this very challenging. And so when Europe comes over here and looks at it, what are you guys doing? It's like, well, I don't know. We kind of did our own thing a few hundred years ago, and we're still doing it. Apparently, it's hard to buy a car because of it.
Who knew that all those wet ink signatures so long ago that started out with the John Hancock?
That's right. By God, we're going to keep it that way.
By God, we're going to wedding signature everybody.
These will always be a wedding signature. All right, let me just do some quick totaling up of points here, and it looks like Paul is going to actually be our point accumulation specialist of the day. I was trying to think of a David Long dealership name for that. It's kind of my new thing.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of like what it would be called and what it would be called in his dealership.
WWDLD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So you're a points accumulation and acquisition specialist. Pass for short. That's what we refer to you. You're a passer. You're a passer. You're at the store. All right. And so I'm going to fire off some rapid fire questions for you, and we're going to get the clock up and running, or the clock up but not running yet. Can we see the clock?
What are the rules again? Remind me of the rules.
Quarter in. I'm just going to ask you as many questions as I can inside of like basically 20 seconds.
Okay.
And you're going to answer as many questions as you can inside of these 20 seconds. You're
And
going
then
for,
what?
So you are imagine you're going for quantity, not quality. Okay.
Can he
Yeah,
pass?
let's do it.
Can he pass
On
on
that, and on that you can pass. On that same note, right? Quantity over quality, and go. Is Carvana making a comeback?
No.
Jim Farley, Mary Barra, Carlos Tavares. Who's going to be the first to not be a CEO of their company?
Carlos.
Physical buttons or touchscreen for in-car entertainment?
Physical.
Which current vehicle is going to be a future collectible?
Mitsubishi Mirage.
After VinFast, what's the next EV manufacturer? Oh, it's all right. That was 5 questions though. That's
good.
The Mirage at the end. I wish that was clutch.
Clearly.
I just don't think it's going to be a future collectible, but all right. So until that up, we got the 5
It's a
questions.
current collectible.
That's 4 more or 3.5 more than Jason Rice did last week. So you're a current reigning champion. I'm going to also just bring up here real quick a couple of things. First of all, you're going to see some reporting coming out from the S&P 500 that releases their own set of reporting. And in that, you're going to see some statistics about auto loans and default rates being higher than they've been in a decade. And the thing is this doesn't have all the data from the federal set in there. So I'm going to tell you, it's going to show you at something around 3.8%. And they're going to tell you that that's high. It's actually not, and it actually doesn't have the rest of the data set in there. So, the 2 things that we fight for here is we're against fear mongering, right? And so we don't want this to be something that you hear misquoted or misinterpreted until we have all the rest of the data. Is S&P reporting a higher auto loan inflation default rate? Yes, they are. And they're also noting that about $1.6 trillion of auto loan debt, new car loans averaged at about 7.8%, and used car loans sit at an average about 9%. That part I do find reliable, and I think we would stick with that. All right, we would move on from there, just sort of pretty rapidly here to the FMK segment. Not a historical figure. Essentially, right? So can you see him on the screen there? We've got some topical, I didn't know if that was just me. Okay. We've got some topical vehicles here. And so this is going to be, our version of this is buy, lease, or wholesale.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, Bob, why don't you go for it? And then the burned out Ferrari, that is we're talking about the only surviving somewhat wreckage from the only 4-cylinder Ferrari race car, I believe that was. They just recently sold 2 days ago, $1.9 million here in Pebble Beach. So, Bob, go ahead. So, which one are you buying? Which one are you leasing? Which one are you wholesaling?
This is easy. I'm buying the Ferrari. I'm leasing the VinFast, and I'm wholesaling the Mirage, baby.
Matthew?
I'm buying the burned out Ferrari all day long. I'm leasing the Mirage, and bye-bye to the VinFast.
I'm gonna try it.
That sounded spiteful.
So,
Let's see. I'm gonna buy the Mirage because I think I can flip it quickly on my used car lot. I'm gonna wholesale the burned out Ferrari, and I am leasing that VinFast.
I'm gonna buy the Mirage, and I'm gonna hold it because it's gonna be a future collector's item. I'm gonna lease the VinFast because I want to see what it's all about, and I'm gonna wholesale the Ferrari because I already have 2 buyers here on the screen between Bob and Matt. So
solid thinking, and that's why you're our point champion this week. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're only slightly under 4 minutes over our allotted time, and that's thanks to our sponsors, which is us. And also a reminder that it looks like we might be doing a live episode of the Wheelhouse at ASOTU coming up in September. So if you want to really get some laughs and insight, that would probably be the place to do it. Thanks as always to Nathan Southwick put all of this together. I appreciate everyone. We will see you here next week for another consecutive episode, not yet double digits, of the Wheelhouse. See you then.